What does it mean to rule the world? Throughout history, many have tried. Some carved their names into the sands of time with swords, others with diplomacy, trade, and innovation. But only a few empires grew so vast that the sun never seemed to set on their territories. These were not just nations, they were colossal machines of conquest, culture, and influence, stretching across continents and reshaping the destinies of millions. Today, we embark on a journey across centuries and civilizations to uncover the greatest empire the world has ever seen, not merely in size, but in scope, complexity, and legacy. Which empire truly stood tallest among giants? Was it Rome with its unmatched legal systems, the Mongols with their fearsome speed, or perhaps a maritime empire that painted the globe with its colors? The answer may surprise you. Stay with us until the end, because this is not just a tale of conquests and crowns, it's the story of humanity's relentless ambition. Number 1. The Mongol Empire. Speed, strength, and shock. In the early 13th century, a warrior emerged from the harsh steppes of Central Asia who would forever alter the balance of world power. His name was Temujin Beta, known to history as Genghis Khan. Under his command, disparate nomadic tribes were united into a fearsome, cavalry-based military force. The Mongol Empire expanded rapidly through brutal and brilliantly strategic warfare, covering over 24 million square kilometers at its height, making it the largest contiguous land empire in human history. The Mongols ruled from the Pacific Ocean in the east to the edges of Europe in the west, incorporating parts of China, the Middle East, Russia, and Central Asia. But contrary to the image of mere destruction, the Mongol Empire also established a highly efficient communication system known as the Yam, promoted religious tolerance, and revitalized trade along the Silk Road. Despite their fearsome reputation, the Mongols left a legacy of cultural exchange and administrative innovation. Yet, their decentralized governance and internal divisions eventually caused the empire to splinter into smaller khanats. Still, for sheer size and speed of expansion, few empires compare. Number 2. The British Empire. The sun never set. By the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the British Empire had grown into the largest empire the world had ever known, not just in landmass, but also in its global reach, spanning across Africa, Asia, the Americas, and Oceania. It covered nearly 35 million square kilometers at its peak and governed over 400 million people, about a quarter of the world's population at the time. This astonishing scope earned it the famous phrase, "the empire on which the sun never sets." Unlike the Mongols, the British Empire expanded primarily through naval dominance, trade networks, colonization, and industrial prowess. It wasn't always a story of peaceful expansion. Wars, exploitation, and resistance defined much of its history. Yet the British influence deeply shaped global politics, languages, legal systems, and infrastructure. English became a global lingua franca, and institutions like parliamentary democracy and common law were adopted in former colonies. While the empire eventually dissolved in the 20th century, its cultural and political impact still echoes across continents today. Number 3. The Roman Empire. Law, roads, and legacy. Long before modern global empires, Rome stood as the titan of antiquity. At its height around 117 AD, under Emperor Trajan, the Roman Empire stretched from the windswept isles of Britain to the deserts of Egypt, from the Atlantic shores of Iberia to the fertile crescent of Mesopotamia. Though its size around 5 million square kilometers doesn't match later empires, Its influence arguably surpasses many. The Romans pioneered infrastructure on an unprecedented scale, building roads, aqueducts, amphitheaters, and cities that still stand today. Their legal system became the foundation of many modern governments. Their language, Latin, evolved into the Romance languages spoken by millions, and their concept of citizenship, governance, and civic responsibility influenced political philosophy. For centuries, Rome did not merely conquer, assimilated, administrated, and civilized in ways that endured long after its fall. The Western world, in many respects, still lives in the shadow of Rome. Number 4. The Umayyad Caliphate. Faith, fire, and flourishing cities. Less known to some but immensely significant, the Umayyad Caliphate emerged in the 7th century following the death of the Prophet Muhammad. Based in Damascus, it rapidly expanded through North Africa into Spain and across the Middle East and Central Asia. By 750 AD, the Umayyad Caliphate ruled over more than 11 million square kilometers, making it one of the largest empires in history at the time. The Caliphate spread not only through military campaigns, but also through effective governance, trade, and scholarship. It connected diverse peoples under Islamic law and facilitated an explosion of knowledge, translating texts from Greek, Persian, and Indian traditions into Arabic, preserving science and philosophy for future generations. While its reign was eventually overtaken by the Abbasid Caliphate, the Umayyads left behind stunning architectural marvels, such as the Great Mosque of Cordoba, and laid the foundations of Islamic civilization in the Western Mediterranean. Number 5. The Spanish Empire. Gold, glory, and global footprints. When Christopher Columbus landed in the Americas in 1492, he unknowingly ignited a wave of imperial expansion that would transform the world. The Spanish Empire became the first truly global empire, with colonies in the Americas, Asia, Africa, and Europe. By the 18th century, it had become one of the most powerful empires in the world, holding vast territories in the New World, the Philippines, and parts of Europe. Driven by the pursuit of gold, the spread of Christianity, and national prestige, Spain's conquests reshaped entire continents. Cities such as Mexico City and Lima became colonial power centers, while the silver mines of Potosi fueled the global economy. But the empire was also marked by cruelty, the subjugation and destruction of indigenous cultures, forced conversions, and the transatlantic slave trade were dark chapters in its history. Nevertheless, the Spanish language and culture became deeply embedded in the Americas, and Spain's global presence helped shape the early modern world. Which empire truly was the greatest? So, which of these was the largest empire in history? By land area, the British Empire holds the title, its vast territories unmatched in size and influence. But size alone doesn't define greatness. The Mongols expanded with unparalleled speed. The Romans left a legacy that shaped the Western world. The Umayyads preserved and expanded intellectual traditions, and the Spanish stitched together a global network that forever altered the cultural landscape. Empires rise and fall, but they leave behind stories of triumph and tragedy, of ambition and consequence. In their wake, they shape borders, languages, beliefs, and values that continue to define our world. The question isn't just which was the largest empire, but how did they change the world, and how do their echoes live on today? So, tell us, which empire do you believe shaped history the most? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more historical deep dives from around the world.